Some people have a love for animals, some people have a love for cars, some people have a love for houses and building and architect. John had everything, but his passion, I think, was people.
Nobody's a stranger, you know. If you're in an airport and you have an hour to kill and someone sits down next to you, say hello to them.
He was one of those guys who always brought you up to a certain level that he was at, and he wanted everybody to be there with him.
He had a pretty rough childhood. His mother raised 3 kids by herself, so it was, you know, quite a busy thing for her. She worked 3 jobs, so he was the oldest boy in the family. Pride was important. Pride of workmanship, pride of just being able to provide was important to John. He graduated a year before me, and we met at a dance and took off from there. We got married in 1961. We would have had our 50th anniversary, but we didn't make it. But we had 50 years together, so I always think of it as, you know, we were married our whole life.
About 1968, my father was working at Sears, and somebody he knew walked in around lunchtime and offered him a business opportunity. He jumped on it, and he's been in the HVAC business ever since.
He was the model carrier dealer. He was one that we could look at, and when we'd find or identify a potential new carrier dealer, we could attempt to mold them after his model. He was the first CFAD, factory authorized dealer in Delaware.
Dad wanted all of our technicians to be NATE certified, and was very proud of the fact that we became the second company in the nation to have 100% of our mechanics certified.
The other dealers knew how much of a detail-oriented guy he was because of the employees that he trained. And they also knew of him because he was the president of just about every organization out there that was to do with our industry. So they met him, they knew him, he always friendly. They could pick the phone up and call him to discuss business, and he would be completely open to that.
He was the type of person who wouldn't shrug a responsibility or turn away an opportunity to help someone, whether it be within the industry, to make the industry better as a whole, or to make someone in the community's life easier.
He was very big in the Rotary, having been governor, president of the club, and all the other organizations that he was involved with, all involved dealing with people.
He would still come down to our camp for volunteer work days and just would set an example. You know, John would be out there clearing brush on a trail or helping to paint a room. And so he was just a role model for community volunteers.
He had a very strong sense of giving back. There were times when we were barely scraping by, but if there was somebody else in need, it came out of our pockets into them. It was just something we both felt was more important.
All his volunteering for all those different service organizations never required pay, and he gave his time completely. A lot of times he would go out, even though he had work, he'd try and pass off the work to the members here, and he'd go out and do his volunteer organizations. How do you replace that?
John died suddenly. That wasn't something we were ready for.
Woke up one morning and was having problems with his vision. Couldn't see out of the one side and noticed he was really having to turn his head to read the paper. He thought something was wrong and they should probably go to the emergency room and have it checked out. Got to the hospital, walked into the ER, and Dad was being Dad. He was joking around with everybody, looked great. I mean, you know, everybody kept saying, you're coming home, you know, we're gonna keep you overnight to observe you. Then we're gonna send you back out, you know, tomorrow. Don't really see any problems. Mom and I left, went home, and got a phone call around 11:30 at my house first, saying that they feel Dad had slipped into a coma And at that point in time, he said, "We think you need to gather the family, bring them back in."
He was an organ donor, and we were approached, and we went into a little conference room and discussed whether we were going to be able to proceed with that. And we all felt that, you know, this was a man who always gave, and it was appropriate for him to be able to continue to give, knowing that we were losing him, that it was important that he was giving somebody else a chance even then.
Each one of us are finding little things that Dad had done and just trying to help each other out and keep things going. And we look forward to being a carrier dealer for a long time.
I don't know that anyone can do what he did, but if you come close, that's good enough.